Rick Nielsen, thank you so much for joining me on Cassius Morris Official. Rick, we understand that it was sort of a wild day of travel. We thank you for joining us today. It looks like
Yeah,
you've touched down in Edmonton.
yeah. I'm in Edmonton right now and came from Vancouver.
Awesome. Very cool. And of course, currently on tour with Rod Stewart.
Yeah,
Maybe talk to us about this tour. I mean, this is obviously an incredible lineup for the fans to come and see.
yeah. It's been good. And we started it last year, and Rod, we had to reschedule a month of shows, and that month is right now.
There you go. So, I mean,
So yeah, we've already played a few shows in California, a few shows in Arizona, and then Seattle, and now then Vancouver. Now wherever we're going, Edmonton.
that's right. And I mean, it's so curious to me to see, a band who's been in it for so long. Would you say, Rick, as the years go by, that there's more similarities in the touring experience or more differences in the touring experience?
Similarities to what?
I guess to how it was, back in the early 70s, late 80s.
No, yeah. I think it's pretty similar. It's like when we go to a place, the venue that we were at 2 years ago now has a new name.
Right.
That's about as big as it is. But the crowds have been great, and it's always fun going to these different cities. We've been going across Canada since the late '70s, and it's been great. Canada's been great for us.
Without question. And, one of the greatest things about the Cheap Trick show as well, of course, is the revolving set list. How challenging is it to put together the set list each night?
Well, I don't write it. I just agree to it or disagree with it.
There you go.
So yeah, it's being we get an hour with Rod Stewart. So we have some core songs that we play every night, but then we change it every single night. So it's like yeah. So if we screw it up, we screw up our own stuff.
Exactly. Is that really important to you guys to continuously change that lineup and give the
Well,
fans a new show?
yeah. We think about it. We have 20 studio records and a bunch of live records, and the amount of songs that have been played or famous on the radio is that brings the number way down of all the material we have. So it's kind of tough, but it's kind of fun too. And we're always going to disappoint somebody. And we're always going to excite somebody. So it's like, yeah. So you can win and you can win.
Yeah, it's definitely about wearing those two hats and just accepting all the opinions, right?
Oh yeah. Well, let's see. If you don't want just my opinion.
That's true. In terms of wearing two hats, speaking of that, you're obviously not just a legendary musician, but of course a businessman as well, involved in Rock and Vodka, which is of course available in Edmonton, Calgary, and St. Albert at Coop's Wine, Spirits, and Beer, and Dickensfield Liquor in Fort McMurray. Maybe talk to us about that, because I have to say, Rick, vodka isn't necessarily my go-to. I'm usually a beer guy, and when I got to try this product,
me too.
you too. There you go, right? And I mean, when I tried this product, I was blown away, and I'm not just saying it for the interview.
You're not?
I'm not, honestly,
Well, yeah, it's I was more interested in creating jobs than almost anything. But the fact that it was brought up to me by my business partners from where I live, Andy and John Dell and the rest of us, and then we started getting investors in it, and other musicians and other people that we ran across, is creating jobs. But it's like it was unique in the fact that that it was sugarcane vodka as opposed to regular potato or whatever it's made of. It's like, and it's the awards that we've been getting and the accolades we've been getting has been, like basically just like what you said. It's not my drink. It's like, but you enjoyed it.
Yeah, without question. I mean, is that the main reason that you were interested in this, Rick? Is because it's a very unique vodka? It's made with sugarcane.
Yeah, I didn't want to be involved in stuff that's just, you know, even though I'll go to McDonald's, but I didn't invest in McDonald's. You know, it's like
Exactly.
I have something to do in a couple of restaurants, and those are not cookie cutters things.
Right.
This is not cookie cutter. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. I mean, if anybody can get involved, and it's like you can buy stock and stuff, and you can be involved in this and that. But it's like, it had to be unique, and it had to be unique for the people that I'm involved with.
Rick, I was curious, just, we spoke a little bit on the longevity of Cheap Trick. You guys have watched a lot of bands that, you guys came up with come and go. People are no longer with us. There's people who have retired. What would you say is sort of your key to such a long career? And what are your thoughts when looking back on that fact?
Well, one, we're too dumb to quit. So that helped. And, having, at our shows, we've always been kind of diverse anyhow, like we were never just metal, or we were never just pop, or we were never just this. It's like our music has been diverse enough where it's like, if you don't like the song that you're hearing right now, wait till the next one.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
Yeah. And, and one thing I pride myself in is, like I said, I don't think we've ever progressed.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, we never tried to be something we weren't.
Yes.
And if you try to be something that you're not, then it's like you're following a trend as opposed to. As far as how can you be unique playing the same 12 notes that everybody else does? We have the same. Yes. The Beatles had the same 12 notes that we had, and the Rolling Stones and AC/DC, and and today at the airport, who did I met? I met the guy that. Let me look it up here. Tom Cochran.
Oh wow, that was today.
Life is a highway. Da, 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 da.
Amazing.
Yeah, he and his band were at the airport, and we were talking to like the bass player who had met us with. Playing years ago at this place or that place. He was talking to me about equipment and then the other guys, it was just, how do you make that stuff up? You can't.
Exactly.
And it's like, and so we just travel all the time, and traveling with Rod Stewart. It's like, with Rod Stewart, I met Rod. I saw him first because I was a fan of Jeff Beck, and he was with the Jeff Beck group ages ago. And Jeff Beck, I sold him his second Les Paul he ever had in 1968.
Wow.
I was still just out of high school. So
holy smokes, that is insane.
Yeah, and so now here we're playing with him every night, and all his musicians are asking me questions about this and that. It's like I got to go back and do my homework, see what I can figure out here. But he's got some great players playing with him now, and we're out on the road banging it out.
Who would you say is the most surprising person that you've met who has told you, hey, I was really influenced by yourself and Cheap Trick?
Well, let's see. Here's a funny one. I just actually heard from him today, from Slash.
Nice.
And Slash, he grew up playing air guitar at his grandmother's house. It's the Cheap Trick. It's like, you imagine Slash, a little kid at his grandma's house. And he just texted me today because I sent him something. I sent him a thing that I was in the latest Yahoo thing today.
Okay.
It mentioned about me working with John Lennon.
Right.
And then he wrote back to me. He says, let's see. Let me get the right thing here. I don't
got to get the quote here.
Got to get the quote. And here, Slash. Wow, I had no idea about this. He wrote back to me. He says, because I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, I can see the photo. Yeah.
Yeah, it says, I wish I'd had Rick on Cold Turkey, clapped and choked up. That's what John Lennon said.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
And then Slash was surprised by that, or he
Slash was surprised because we were just talking the other day about guitars. I sent him a picture of this new guitar that I just.
Oh, wow. Look at that,
just was made for me, and Paul Hamer made that for me, and then I sent him a picture of this.
Wow.
Of a guitar that's in 1959. He says, "Nice. You don't see Bigsby's on Juniors ever. At least I haven't seen one." It's like, so yeah. So, it's rare that I talk to, it's like we don't have a million things in common, but we have enough things where we end up talking with each other and don't embarrass ourselves. He doesn't embarrass himself, and I don't embarrass myself. Now I'm embarrassing myself with you. Though. There you
go. There you go. Yeah, we'll do it here. No, that's amazing though that you guys still find common ground and new things to show each other after all these years.
Yeah. It is funny. Like the guitar player from his name is let's see. I just heard Emerson Swinford. He's a guitar player with Rod Stewart, and then I also heard from Brian Cahill, he works for the Who.
Nice.
These are the people that I talk to every day.
It's a rock and roll phone.
Yeah. And then my road manager yelling at me about something. Okay? Oh, the bus.
We always need that. We always need that.
Yeah.
That's what they're for. I mean, this has got me fascinated now. Looking back maybe at all these people that you've come in contact with through the years, I wonder who's one person that you think went so soon and you wish you could have seen what they would have done later in their career?
Well, John Lennon, for one. When I got invited to play, and I worked on the Double Fantasy record. And it's like, and then he liked the way we played and liked what I did in the studio, because that's the thing. And I said, why did Clapton choke up? And it's like, he didn't have a band at the time, and we could have been his backup band.
Wow.
For John Lennon, because he had quit touring at the time. So, that never got to fruition. And my son, Dax, who plays drums with Cheap Trick, that was the day he was born when I worked with John Lennon.
No kidding.
And so Dax is out here on the road with drumming for Cheap Trick. And
that's incredible.
And tomorrow night.
Yeah, there you go. We'll be live in action. I mean, looking at other bands through the years, was there ever a point where you considered potentially auditioning for another group, like maybe when Ace Frehley left Kiss?
No, I always say that if I were, I tried to immigrate to Australia back in the early 70s, and because they were giving away land. You got 10 acres of land and all this stuff. And the music scene where I wasn't happening. I actually ended up moving to Europe. But in the meantime, I said I would have been AC/DC's guitar player, except wow. I'm too tall.
Yeah.
But I've been friends with those guys since the 70s also.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. So that was potentially on the table.
Well, in my table.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's table.
Not on their table.
How about the record, of course, in '79, Cheap Trick at Budokan? I'm so curious sort of about the rise of live records around that time. Why do you think that record had such a big impact on the public?
Well, I think because a lot of people had seen us play. We weren't getting much airplay, but we'd opened up for Kiss. We'd opened up for Queen. We'd opened up for go on down to Kinks, the Who,
you name it.
But they maybe have heard our records, but then they heard the Live at Budokan record, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the band I saw with these guys, and I think that's sort of helped promote it.
Also, you guys released a video special and that record early in Japan. Is that correct?
Correct. It was only supposed to be out in Japan for the fans. Because we had a big following by then. There, no place else really. But then we did it. We actually did really well in Canada. I think the Dream Police record went like maybe seven or eight platinum here.
Wow,
which is like before when it went anything, any place else except for Japan. So it's like. Yeah, I don't know what I'm telling you, but there you go.
So why exactly did it end up leaving Japan? Was it just because you figured we have to get this out to the rest of the world?
Well, we didn't figure it out. It just started selling so well.
Oh, wow.
It was like the biggest import, Japanese import in 1979. And it's like, we had records out, but did okay. But that one came in, and it was selling like so much of import, and the import version was 4 or 5 times more expensive, but people wanted it, and so the record company. It was one of the smartest things the record company ever did. Put out a record.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, did you find that things became more challenging for you guys as a band to operate with that massive level of success, or did things suddenly become easier?
A little bit of each, a little bit of whatever. I mean, when the record was number 1 or whatever, top 5, we were always in a different country. Like the record was doing gangbusters in the United States. We were in England, and it was like, hadn't done anything there. So we were always ahead of the game or behind the game, and we still are. And we like the old line, just smell the roses. We never smelled them. We smelled something else.
You guys were constantly on the move. I mean, but that has to lend to longevity as well.
Yeah, it is. It's like our band. We've never quit, and we've never had a big comeback because we never left.
Yeah, that's so rare.
Yeah,
I mean, how did you guys navigate through times like the grunge era and stuff like that, when there were such pronounced trends that even bands, some bands dropped their whole identity?
Well, it's like we never, like I said before, we never tried to be somebody else. We never tried to catch on to this or catch on. And plus, the bands that were, Kurt Cobain was a big Cheap Trick fan. How do you do that? And the guys in Pearl Jam, they're big Cheap Trick fans. So it's like, you can't buy that stuff, and you can't, it doesn't get much press about that kind of stuff. But we were, I think my line is, other bands liked us because we didn't steal their girlfriends.
Yeah, you guys were completely in your own lane.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to meet Kurt Cobain?
Oh yeah.
What was he like?
Well, he liked Cheap Trick. So what can I say? I met him before he was real famous, and he used to say, he says, Nirvana. I said, we're like Cheap Trick, except the guitars are louder. Wow. And I said my guitar's real loud. So,
yeah. How could you beat that?
Yeah.
I mean,
and plus we knew a lot of the same people. It was like we worked with Steve Albini. They worked with Steve Albini. Record producers and stuff like that. And it's like you sort of know people, and it's like it wasn't like anything awful. Like these guys hate you, and you're in competition with this. It was never like that. So it's like we never had that kind of war between bands.
Yeah. I mean, was it weird for you sort of watching people like Kurt, being from a guy who was in the circle to, of course, after his passing, becoming this enigmatic figure? Like, what was that like for you to watch the change in perception?
I guess I don't really know. I mean, right around that time, Dave Grohl used to come and see us play, and with Taylor Hawkins, they were big Cheap Trick fans, and we couldn't get rid of the guys. They were. It was just all good. I mean, it's like I said, we don't steal anybody's girlfriends, and so it's like it's more about the music. I mean, Motley Crue were big fans of Cheap Trick, and like what can I? Like the bands that weren't fans of ours, we probably weren't fans of theirs either. So there you go.
That's a good point. There was nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Rick, I really, really thank you for taking the time to share some knowledge with us. I just want to remind all the viewers out there that Rock and Vodka, that's right, is available Edmonton, Calgary, and St. Albert at Coop's Wines, Spirits, and Beer. And of course, Dickensfield's Liquor in Fort McMurray. We have all the purchase links down below, and I highly recommend it. And Rick, thank you so much. I can't wait for the show tomorrow.
It's going to be good.